Hey there, sports fans. How we doing? You all right? I'm fine, thank you. Welcome to the 10 Yards Back Super League channel. I'm Jim, and this is my review of that magic round. Magic weekend 2025 just passed us. Round 10 of Betfred Super League 2025 competition. And God, it was a good one, wasn't it? As far as Magic weekends go, 64 plus thousand people attended across the whole weekend. First time ever that more people attended the Sunday than the Saturday, which I think is really good. I think that's due mainly probably to match selection and Wakefield being so good this season, to be honest, that we had those 32 plus thousand fans. Just over half of the fans showed up on the Sunday. In terms of the stats, you know, tries scored, points scored and all that, it's pretty unremarkable. I think there are about 229 points scored across the whole weekend. Yeah, it kind of just puts it middle of the pack really for this season. Maybe fourth from the bottom, to be honest. But it wasn't about the tries, was it? It was about those magic moments, such as Guillermo Aspirobiche's solo effort right from the bat in the first game there, about 10 minutes in, 50 minutes into the first game. The Stoltmans in attendance, the Stoltmen in attendance, and, of course, the Faatili try just to wrap it up. Three yellow cards, I think, across the weekend, one red. So disciplinary, okay, I think. I mean, that red card, you probably would like to not see it. It certainly wasn't, there were no further actions from that anyway. The disciplinary looks pretty clean. All right, so these were the fixtures that we had. Leigh vs Catalans, Hull KR Salford, Saints Leeds, Huddersfield Hull FC, Wigan versus Warrington, and closing out the weekend was Castleford versus Wakefield. I'd highlighted a couple of games to be my locks for the weekend. So if you look, this is how I thought the weekend was going to go. I knew that Leigh game was going to be good. I thought Saints Leeds was going to be really competitive. The whole game, the Wigan game, I'd written those off completely. The Salford game, of course. And I thought closing out the weekend, that Castleford versus Wakefield game was going to be a real nail-biter, given what happened at Easter. Here's what actually happened. And boy, have I got some humble pie to eat on this one. The Leigh game was good. I think, 2 points in it. I thought that's how I was going to go, roughly, anyway. I had Leigh winning that one. Hull KR was going to beat Salford, but I thought Salford would claim one back, at least. Saints Leeds, less said about that, the better. Huddersfield Hull FC, Huddersfield off the mark, everyone. It's amazing. Wigan Warrington quite close, and Wakefield trouncing Castleford. So let me go, instead of highlighting a single game this week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the games and explain why I think I was so wrong on this one. All right, so let's start with the Leigh game. Like I said, I had this at 28-22. I thought Leigh were just going to have a little bit more of a buffer against Catalans. So really, I think I got the total number of points correct, whatever that means. Certainly got the victors correct in that one. I don't think you can take anything away from any team here. The things that I did get wrong, which is remarkable, is ahead of this game I said Tompkins is available, so they'll definitely play him. What do they do with GAB? And I think such an accolade for this young man, this young rising superstar of a man, is that he was chosen to start. Now, I could be wrong on Tompkins having been available, but I'm pretty sure he was, and GAB got his start. Anyway, even if he didn't, he performed amazingly. I can't quite remember, but I think that if Catalans would have won the game, he probably would have been in contention for man of the match at least. Great solo try. The cover work is amazing. Unfortunately for Catalans, I think Edwin Ipape is the best player in the world. somewhere in that. Like he's just so good. He's got the body of a superhero, the face of a parrot, and the rugby league skill of a young Edward Apape. I didn't know where I was going with that one. Yeah, that was a pretty good game there to open the weekend. It was amazing. Fouled a little bit by a couple of scuffles, I think, particularly at the end there. But I don't think you can take anything away from either team here. This was okay. I think where Catalans maybe lost the game a little bit was... I joked last week that I said that these rucks are going to be the slowest rucks you'll ever see. They probably could have done a little bit more of that. You hate to see it. You hate to see teams getting really close to the line there, rules-wise, but it's legal. You're allowed to do it as long as you're not getting yourself penalties. You're allowed to do it. So I think Catalans should have done a little bit more of that, slowed the game down a little bit, suited them a little bit more. What can I say about this one? Hull KR, Salford. Look, it was always going to go this way. Hull KR are amazing right now. Salford are building. Let's use that phrase. The thing I didn't expect with this, and it's something that we should all consider, is yes, Hull KR ran away with it. Yes, they're amazing. They're fantastic. But if you read the team sheet on who scored those tries, I think, was it 6 tries, 9 tries, something like that? Yeah, a crazy number of tries they scored. 9 tries, so not 6. Artur Morg was the only person to score 2 tries, which means that the remainder, the 7 other tries, came from all over the field. That to me is an indication that Hull KR not only know how to win, but they know several ways of winning, and they can get you anywhere on the field. James Batchelor, for example, is having a screamer. We all know Mikey Lewis is amazing. Artur Morg just seems to have, what are Catalans doing getting rid of that kid? Yes, he loves getting hit in the head, but he's just screaming, isn't he? So that the whole KR game was always going to go this way. I didn't know it was going to go quite as far in that direction. Oh boy. All right. Saints Leeds. I had this at 2014 to Saints. I thought that after a couple of weeks of thinking and losing, that Saints would pull this one out. I said last week that Jake Connor was going to be the deciding factor. I think, to be honest, that Jake Connor may have been told by Brad Arthur, look, this is a big day, a big occasion. We do not want to lose this, and we definitely don't want to lose this due to ill discipline. Calm down. Same with Bentley. Bentley saw, he got a bit aggressive a couple of points, but he's a second row. He's allowed to do that. The game was pretty quiet, to be honest, other than a couple of incidents, which I'll cover again in the 6 again. Saints' problem here, the reason why Saints lost and are losing, I think, is selection. And I said this at the back end of last season, they've bought players to play in the wrong position, and they've spent a lot of money on what they would call utility, what I actually call futility. They've bought in on a world superstar fullback, Tristan Saylor, and put him at standoff. He ended up in the wing in this game. You can't keep making transitions like that. They did it last week against Warrington. They moved Percy's wing. All right, that's not such a big deal, but that's quite a big change for Percy to do. You got to think, in my head, I was marking that person. Now I'm marking someone completely different with a completely different style. The atmosphere over on this side is different. Sailor's changing positions. He started off at standoff. He kind of looked like a full-back at points of the game. Then he ended up on the wing. Saints, they need to sort it out. And Leeds were the beneficiaries there. Leeds were very tidy, very, very clean, very clinical. Got that drop goal for some reason. I don't know. Everyone loves a drop goal. That's fine. So, Leeds won. Saints, I think it's a good job the Challenge Cup's coming up, because you could do with a week off just to think about this one. Right, this is my biggest humble pie of the weekend, I think. Huddersfield versus Hull FC. Hull FC are really having a good season. Huddersfield are really not having a good season. So I just thought the mismatch here on the big stage would knock them off their perch, Huddersfield. Turns out not. So last week I said if Huddersfield want to win this game, they can't make any errors, 0 errors. Turns out that wasn't true because Hull FC actually made some pretty big errors. Red card, for example, yellow card, red card. So they just made bigger errors than Huddersfield. So the balance of that, of the disciplinary, let's say, the errors, was massively in Huddersfield's favour. But Huddersfield were also doing stuff that they haven't done yet this season necessarily. You know, Adam Clune was back. Is it Adam Clune? Yeah, Clune was back. Adam Swift on the wing doing his thing. Basically, Jacob Gagai is just getting better and better each week. And the kid, George Flanagan, I've already said, he's one of my top 3 young talents for the year. George Flanagan, Riley Lum, and Lewis Martin. 3 young talents who are just really doing a good job. And that's how Huddersfield won this game. It was a little bit of luck, but it was a lot of grit and a lot of determination. So good on you, Huddersfield. I said that this was going to be 24-6 in Hull FC's favour. I'm glad I was wrong, to be honest. I want Hull to do stuff, but Huddersfield are off the mark now, which unfortunately puts Salford at the bottom, but we'll see how that one works out. Wigan Warrington. I think the thing that I was wrong about here was Warrington's mentality. I thought this was going to be 32-6. Warrington they're like, what do you call journeymen? They're a journeyman team. You have to beat Warrington if you're going to be considered the best, because Warrington are very good. Unfortunately, in Warrington's DNA is the ability to have an off day every so often, and that's reflected in their league position right now, I think. So the thing that I was wrong about is I said they've not got Sneed. There's no Williams. Ashton's out. There's no way they can replace those key players. So they're going to the Dogs. I didn't know that Jake Thewlis was actually a superstar. Jake and Josh Thewlis on either wing. That guy really did some work in defence. Thewlis scored 2 tries as well, I think. He had a screamer of a game. I think the most important point of this game for Warrington to be as competitive as they were, and I'll be honest, other than if Chris Kendall had been stood somewhere else during that Bevan French try, Warrington might have won this game. And the reason is that 2 minutes in, Matt Duffy got a Warrington flag and fucking stuck it right behind the try line. And unfortunately, it was a forward pass. It got chalked off. But 2 minutes into the game, Duffy gets behind Wigan's line and scores a disallowed try. But they got there. And that was them saying to Wigan, hey, be careful here because we're game today. Ratchford, great game, doing what he does. I always feel bad seeing Ratchford in the centre. He's a good centre, of course, but, Ratchford was an awesome fullback, halfback. So to see him on the centres is a little bit disparaging. I think maybe they should make more of him in his probably final seasons, at least, at Warrington. But good on. I mean, this was a great game. It was a great game because it was one of those games where it's pretty competitive, but just punctuated with moments of brilliance, both in attack and defence. All right, final game of the weekend then. God, I thought this was going to be close. I thought this was going to be 24-12 to Wakefield. Turns out it wasn't. It was 32-8 to Wakefield. That's the wrong graphic there. Wakefield were just game for it, weren't they? They were just there. The single biggest change for Wakefield, which I think it's one that we should all be worried about, unless you're a Wakefield fan, is the halfback is back. Jake Truman is back in at standoff, I believe. So now you've got Lino and Truman. I think they lost against Catalans last week because Lino's kicking game was getting a bit predictable. They got 2 charge downs in that game, which charge downs don't really happen all that much in rugby league. Do they? You've usually got enough space, enough time to get a kick off. Lino was getting a bit predictable. Everyone knew where it was going. So having Truman there, marshalling the troops, was great. I think, to be honest, that's one of the best games I've ever seen him play, full stop. I thought he was decent at Cass when he played at Cass. Hull FC kind of disappeared because that was during the dark days of Hull FC. I think Wakefield, hopefully, he kind of found his grounding. You've got Truman and Mike McMeekin, just 2 real good generals of that side, and it really showed here. I don't think we should write Cass off for the rest of the season, to be honest. They brought in Chris Atkin and Tom Amone for this game. I wonder whether it was just a bit too soon to bring those 2 players, those 2 massive players, huge salaries, let's just say that. Huge salaries, huge experience. Just a bit too late to bring him in on the big stage in a competitive game, which, in a game such as this. They've got a week off now. Everyone's got a week off except those 4 teams in the Challenge Cup. So hopefully Cass can string a few things together. I'm not sure who they've got coming up. I think they do have a Salford game coming up. So all due respect to Salford, that'll be one that they're hoping to, wow us at. And we'll see how that goes. All right, that was it. That was Magic Weekend. Let's have a look at what that did to the table coming out of that round 10. Bit of movement. Hull FC have dropped to 5. Saints dropped to 6. Leeds up in the top flight there. Leeds now, aren't they? And good on them. Warrington have dropped. Wakefield have gone up. That Wakefield Warrington thing. They're both playing very exciting rugby. They've just both, unfortunately, got a couple of losses in them. So I'm hoping that when they meet in the league, I don't know when it is, it's gonna be really good. Hopefully, Warrington can throw some marketing behind it as well, as they like to do, and really make it a special game. Salford, unfortunately, at the bottom now. It's not that I don't know what has to happen for Salford to get off the bottom. It's just that I don't think it will. I think, they need a big rebuild. They need to do a Wakefield, which is, difficult. But, if you look at the table as it is now, Leigh and Wakefield are the only 2 teams there that have spent any time in the Championship recently. And they're doing pretty good. So maybe Salford can do that. I think the unfortunate side of that is if they drop down to the Championship, it makes their financial situation a whole lot worse, doesn't it? It makes them a lot less of an attractive investment opportunity for any NRL team. The Roosters, for example. But we'll see. Anyway, that's the table as it stands. Leeds moving up, Wakefield moving up, Huddersfield moving up. And here we go. Top points scorers, Artur Morg, the old punching bag Artur Morg, moving up to number 1 because, like I said, he's just storming it. The Robins, isn't he? He's absolutely smashing it. 2 tries, a whole load of kicks. He's going to be hard to catch this season if he maintains that place as the kicker, which I don't know why he wouldn't. So we got Artur Morg. I think, Aspiro Abishe is going to be there or thereabouts with him for points, to be honest, because he's really pulling out of the bag as well. Mark Percival clinging on in 3rd. Up until this week he was number 1, but you don't score any tries, you don't get any points. You certainly don't get any conversions. That's the point scorers. Let's have a look at the tries. So Jay Field is just edging away from the competition now, isn't he? 12 tries. There'll be more to come. Honourable mentions here, like I said, Lewis Martin, Riley Lum, GAB is going to be in and among there. He's just not had that full season. He's only played, 3-4 games. It's about half the number of games. Harry Robertson's an honourable mention there as well, by the way, with the young kids. He obviously played very well last season, got a lot of plaudits last season. He just needs to stay fit. He needs to get back on the pitch, doesn't he? Because he has been up there now, and he's now in 8th. If he doesn't play for another game, he's going to be off that chart. Not that he cares, I'm sure. But it'd be nice to have you back, Harry. Anyway, I think we all need to see more of Harry Robertson. All right, guys, that was it. Round 10. Next week is the Challenge Cup, so I probably won't do one of these for next week, but we'll see. There's always a chance. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to hear it but not see it, head over to Spotify, 10 Yards Back. Say hello on X, 10 Yards Back on X as well, and I will see you again.